Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome aboard our city sightseeing tour with the award-winning Brighton and Hove bus company and team. Make yourself comfortable, sit back, and get ready for a trip through time of our city's colourful and vibrant history. If you take a look at your map, you will be able to follow our route through Brighton and Hove, which will take in the highlights of the attractions and important locations we will be viewing today. We hope this will whet your appetite for more detailed visits to many of our unique historic buildings: the Royal Pavilion, the Aquarium, the Pier, the parks, the beaches, the downs, the squares, the marina, and of course our clubs, pubs, restaurants, cafe bars, theatres and shops. For your own safety, please remain seated at all times while the bus is moving, and if you would like to ask your tour driver any questions, please do so, but only when the bus has stopped at one of the 12 designated bus stops on our tour today. Please press the bell only once if you wish to disembark at any of our stops. You can rejoin the tour later at any of the designated stops by indicating with your hand. So, hold on to your hats as we set off on a fascinating journey around the UK's London by the Sea. I, Sir Winston Churchill, the great statesman and wartime Prime Minister, was educated in my formative years here in Hove at the Brunswick School at numbers 29 to 30 Brunswick Road on the corner of Lansdowne Road. It was run by two sisters, Kate and Charlotte Thompson. My family doctor, Robson Roos, practised in the town, and it was his recommendation that the fresh sea air would be good for my delicate health. I learnt the alphabet and my times table there between 1883 and 1885. Brighton's Jubilee Clock Tower was designed by John Johnson and built in 1888 to commemorate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. Local businessman Arthur Otway paid £2,000 for its construction, and a time capsule containing coins and a newspaper were buried in its base. The golden ball rose and fell on the hour from an electrical signal from Greenwich. Unfortunately, the rising and falling ball of the clock was originally stopped in 1902, as the noise of the mechanism was said to frighten the horses and apparently kept the local residents awake. Mounted on a red granite base, the tower stands 75 feet high and shows the portraits of Queen Victoria, her beloved husband Prince Albert, and their son Edward, Prince of Wales, and his wife Princess Alexandra. In 1959, Councillor Lewis Cohen called for the removal of the tower, claiming it caused traffic congestion and calling it a shocking Victorian eyesore. However, as part of Queen Elizabeth's Golden Jubilee celebrations in 2002, this centrepiece of Brighton's history was newly restored with a new mast and rising ball mechanism at a cost of some £100,000. In 2009, it was reported that the time ball mechanism had stopped working again. Could it have been struck by the curse of Councillor Cohen?
Shocking Victorian eyesore.
Yes, I am Mr. W. Harold Spear. I hand-cranked quite a few biographs in my time. In fact, I was the first. Where Boots stands now was one of Brighton's largest cinemas. The Regent opened in 1921 and could seat 2,200 people. Even had a ballroom on the top, with cafes, shops and music. Oh, that organ. Shamefully, this superb piece of early 20th century architecture was closed in 1973, partly demolished in 1974, and finally razed to the ground in 1977 to make way for a chemist so you could get a pill for your head. From the start of the silver screen to the present day, there have been over 40 cinemas in Brighton. Many of the old cinemas have been demolished, and the only original picture house still getting bums on seats is the Duke of York's, built in 1910. There's no place for cinemas like I ran. You with your multiplexes and hot dogs and popcorn. Whatever happened to a good old orange and a ha'porth of chips on the way home? The Prince Regent purchased the pavilion in 1807 for £17,000. It had been a simple farmhouse, and in 1787, Henry Holland extended it into a neo-classical building known as the Marine Pavilion. However, this was far too small for the Prince's household and his flamboyant lifestyle. He employed John Nash to enlarge the building, adding the domes and minarets that characterized the Oriental design. This was very much more to his liking, providing the Prince with the perfect venue for his wild parties. At the north gate of the palace, and near the entrance, are two statues, one of George IV, who built the pavilion, and the other of Queen Victoria, who sold it to the people of Brighton. The area behind the pavilion is known as the North Lane, where strips of land or twittons were rented annually to farmers. In 1874, the Brighton Museum and Library were built, and more recently, the award-winning Jubilee Library and an excellent new shopping area were constructed on nearby waste ground. At one time, numbers 4 and 5 at the famous Royal Crescent were owned by Laurence Olivier. He was born in 1907 and became Britain's most respected actor and film star. Olivier was knighted in 1947, and in 1970 became the first theatrical knight to be raised to the peerage, taking the title Baron Olivier of Brighton. He died on the 11th of July, 1989. In 1786, I, Thomas Reed Kemp, one-time Member of Parliament for Lewis and later Arundel, rented a farmhouse to the Prince of Wales. In 1823, I commissioned the leading Regency architects and builders Charles Busby and Ammon Wilds to start developing and building the magnificent estate known as Kemp Town. It was a remarkably bold enterprise which was completed in 1855. The estate includes Sussex Square and Lewis Crescent as its centrepiece. It was to cost me my fortune, and I had to flee my creditors in 1837. I was quite astounded to hear in 1885 the Lawrence sisters, who were keen to improve the education of young ladies, founded the world-famous Rodine School. 10 young girls were educated at number 25 Lewis Crescent until, in 1899, it was moved down the coast to the massive building it now occupies. Ah, and the South Downs. 100 miles of flint-bearing chalk running between Winchester in the west to Eastbourne in the east. If you visit the Downs, you will have splendid views south to the sea and north to the Weald of Sussex and beyond. I died in 1844 in Paris, so I never saw my dream completed. The Naturist Beach is located on the Kemp Town seafront. It was designated in 1979, allowing visitors to sunbathe and swim in the nude. On behalf of Brighton and Hove City Sightseeing team, we would like to thank you for joining us today and hope to see you again on your next visit to the city of Brighton and Hove.